The Democratic leader.
Mr. President, this morning, the Senate will vote on the nomination of Robert F. Kennedy to serve as Secretary of Health and Human Services. By now, it's beyond clear that Mr. Kennedy is not remotely qualified to become the next Secretary of HHS. In fact, Mr. Kennedy might be one of the least qualified people that Donald Trump could have chosen for the job. There are so many others who would have been better. I'm very proud that every single Democrat will oppose Mr. Kennedy's nomination, because Democrats know better than to elevate a conspiracy theorist to the top health care job in the country. I know some of my colleagues feel the same way privately. In fact, if the Senate held a secret ballot today, I'll bet Mr. Kennedy would never come close to becoming confirmed, and that many, if not most, Republicans would vote against him. I think most likely most Republicans would vote against him if there were a secret ballot. But sadly and unfortunately for America, Republicans are being strong-armed by Donald Trump and will end up holding their nose and voting to confirm Mr. Kennedy. What a shame. What a travesty. I urge my Republican colleagues to think very carefully one last time before rolling the dice on Mr. Kennedy. A vote to confirm Mr. Kennedy is a vote to make America sicker. Mr. Kennedy has made a living not by promoting public health, but by actively fighting it. Mr. Kennedy is the face of the modern anti-vaccine movement. Mr. Kennedy has spent decades profiting off vaccine misinformation. Mr. Kennedy told me to my face that he would, quote, defer to the president on issues as personal, as deeply held, as important as abortion. Well, how do we know that Mr. Kennedy won't just defer to the president, who is far from an expert on health care, on other issues and health care issues as well? It's simple. We don't. But if he can change his view and defer to the president on something as deeply held as abortion, the likelihood is he'll change his view on many other health care issues to the detriment of the American people. One thing he won't change his views on is vaccines, I am sure, because he's held that so deeply. My Republican colleagues should think very carefully before voting to elevate a vaccine skeptic, a conspiracy theorist, to oversee our health care system. If confirmed, I fear greatly that Mr. Kennedy will take steps that severely undermine public health, weaken safety standards, and put the needs of for-profit corporations ahead of the needs of American families. And sooner or later, public backlash is going to build, and Republicans will have wished they hadn't signed their names for such a troubled nominee. So one final time, I implore my Republican colleagues to reject the nomination of Kennedy to be Secretary of HHS. A vote to confirm Mr. Kennedy is a vote I truly believe many, many Republicans and most Americans will eventually very deeply regret.